Uh, yeah, yeah. I'm not seeing anybody on Twitter either. Oh well. In that case, then I think it might as well be a good time to go ahead and do a full explanation of what I'm doing. And since one of the things is since this will be the first VOD, let me go ahead and I'm getting paranoid. I just want to check logic again, make sure everything's working. Okay, cool. So let me go ahead and explain what every single piece of this is. So first of all, since this is going to be my first VOD going up on my YouTube channel, probably, my name is Hedgeberg. My username, I should say. I've been in the 3DS hacking scene for about 6 months now, maybe 7 months. And most of my work has been focused towards extracting the ARM9 boot ROM. A lot of it has been purely theoretical. And then there have been a couple of other attempts at what I've been working on, but none of what I've been working on had been terribly successful. And so in, I believe, mid-October, I started working on what has now come to be known as vector hacks, ever since Derek released it at 33C3. And he didn't release vector hacks, he just released some proof that he had done it, including stuff like a boot ROM hash and stuff like that. So I had been working on this for a while beforehand, and so a couple weeks ago I just decided to start streaming where I was because some people seemed interested. And the other thing is that this kind of hardware work is something that a lot of people can learn from. So I started streaming the work, and now that I am at a pretty final stage, I'm getting close to the point where I can actually be automating this and having it all run on its own. But I'll get into what the details of all of that are towards the end. Not towards the end. A little bit later in stream, once I can go ahead and synthesize my my FPGA toolchain and I can explain what's going on. Anyway, though, right now, what we have over here. So Angel Killer asked what all is going on over here, and if I could explain what exactly I'm doing. So basically, vector hacks, as it has been described, is what's called a fault injection exploit. The idea behind a fault injection exploit is that we aren't exploiting software in the traditional sense. Usually when you talk about... here, one second, actually. I'm going to adjust my pop filter just because I feel like I'm talking too close to my microphone. Let me know if it's too quiet or anything. So vector hacks, as it's been discussed, is an exploitation of the good old 3DS, but it's using fault injection instead of software. What that means is that we're not exploiting... Oh, hey Kitlith, welcome aboard. I'm giving since this is going to be the first VOD that's going live, and since audio quality and everything is pretty good right now, I am just giving a quick once-over on everything. I interrupted that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and probably start the actual VOD right in a moment, and I'm sorry, I'm going to go ahead and repeat. So anyway, I'm Hedgeberg. I am working on dumping the ARM9 boot ROM using an exploit called vector hacks. It's something that Derek mentioned at 33C3, but I've been working on for a while. We exploit hardware instead of software using what's called fault injection. The idea of fault injection is that we cause the processor, by corrupting its operating environment, to do things it wouldn't normally do. So I'm actually going to go ahead and get into drawing now, so you guys can all see what I'm talking about, and maybe it'll make a bit more sense with a diagram of some kind. Here's the starting idea. Basically, when we talk about how software operates, we go instruction by instruction. So, for example, in the typical 3DS boot chain, which is what we'll use as an example here, things start with the processor turning on. So as it turns on, we can think of things as a state machine. For those of you who don't know programming very well, or other electrical engineering, the idea of a state machine is it's just a very simple way to describe a system that's moving through a series of what could be described as states, and state can control a set of outputs and behaviors. So for each state, there's a unique set of outputs and behaviors and how it will respond to things. There's a lot more theory to all of that, but it's a good way to describe things. So usually when you start, you've got your first state. So you can describe things as coming off of a reset. So this is your init state. In a init state, is this all streaming correctly? Yeah, it is. Here, actually, let me go ahead and expand the iPad monitor for the time being, so that this all looks a little bit cleaner. So this right here, I'm sorry, my handwriting's terrible. This is RST, stands for reset. So the idea is that coming off of a boot, it's the same as a reset in that you're going to jump to a init, and a init's going to set up everything. Now, a init, after doing the basic initial hardware settings, things that can be done before the first cycle of your processor even begins, it's then going to go ahead and begin doing what's called the bootloader. Are you okay, honey? Was that a yawn or?
Yeah, it was a yawn.
Okay. Very loud yawn from the peanut gallery.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm joking. I love you.
I love you too.
So, you start with the boot operation. And the boot operation is stuff that's going to involve the bootloader. And this is what we're trying to get. The thing about what happens in the boot operation, the boot ROM, is that we can't extract that fundamentally. But I'll continue to explain why this matters as we go. The next step is that it comes from here and it goes into and begins loading the firmware. And for those of you who know ARM9 loader hacks, this is actually the point that we exploit. So this is where I can actually recolor this. 1 second. So and so this is the issue, is that we can't actually access the boot code as soon as we get into the stage where firmware is loading. So the boot code actually executes a lock, and at that point we can't read what's in the boot memory. Oh, what was that? I just heard a disconnect. I hope that's not logic. 1 second. Oh no. It looks like things might have just broken. That's not fun. Yeah, that's still there. Yep, that'll be it. Oh man. Maybe it's just when things start to heat up. I don't know. Anyway, we'll deal with this as it comes and goes. With any luck, we'll be able to keep things working. If not, I'll just use this as an instructional stream. And I'll make do with what I can. So anyway, when things start, you've got reset, things initialize, they go through the boot chain, firmware the loading of the firmware happens, and then things go into the 3DS operating system. So here's 3DS OS. One of the things is we have no way to load code into the boot chain because the boot chain is dominated by what's called the boot ROM. ROM stands for read-only memory. The thing about ROM is, since it's read-only, we can't insert any code into that area. It's fully controlled by the factory programming state. So we have no access to any of that. So we can't actually get code executing before load firmware if we rely on software methods, because of the fact that after firmware load occurs, none of this is controllable. So the way that vector hacks works is that there's actually what's called an exception vector, and any state in here can jump to the exception vector at any time. Now there's a mistake in that exception vectors aren't initialized, and they are enabled at boot for a few specific ones, namely a couple of aborts and an undefined instruction. What that means is that if the processor receives an instruction that it doesn't understand, it will actually jump to the exceptions. Now, when you're coming off of a cold boot, there's nothing in that memory where the exception vector points to. None of that is useful. But when you have something like A9LH, so when we have this access, we can actually write code to the exception. We can actually write to the exception vectors. And then, once that's done, we can actually reset. So this isn't quite so much of a normal jump. No, Kitlith, because stuff was working until just a moment ago. It was working fine. I actually think that its processor heating up. We'll talk about that in a bit. I've actually unhooked the logic analyzer, and we'll see what happens. Anyway, with the exception vector, what happens is it jumps to a init. Sorry. I'm getting my words mixed up here. So what happens is we write the exception vector, and we set everything up. And because of the fact that things aren't cleared out on init, or they aren't cleared out fast enough, because they are eventually cleared out in the boot code, as we know. But what we do then is we set up the exception vectors, and we jump back to the same. We actually reset, and upon reset, we're back at the beginning. And now that during the boot code, if we can cause one of these exception vectors to occur, we can actually get code that we've installed executing. But the thing is that we don't have control over any of that because all that's set up by the processor. Except that there is the ability to cause things like data aborts or undefined instructions if some of the data that the processor receives isn't what it was expecting. What that means is that we need to take the operating environment of the processor and we need to actually manipulate that enough that it's no longer functional in the way that it should be. So what we do is we've got our processor set up down here. So we can call this the system on chip. And it takes a whole bunch of inputs, but the one that we're interested in is the 1.2 volt line. And the 1.2 volt line is powered via a relatively stable voltage source. So plus minus 1.2 volts. And this actually means that what we're doing is we're taking this, and instead of having a stable behavior like this, so let me do axes real quick here. Voltage versus time. Instead of having a stable voltage, what we're actually doing is we're creating a dip for just long enough. And ideally, this is the width of about, it's less than or equal to the length of one instruction. And the result is that one instruction is actually corrupted by this dip in voltage. So that's what fault injection is. We are corrupting the power levels that the CPU receives in order to trick it into accepting data that it should not normally experience. So that's kind of the very overhead, broad explanation of what's happening, but it's relatively decent. Anyway, now that we know that, and now that we know what's happening, the next step is explaining how we're going about this. So to produce this kind of dip in voltage and have it be this controlled, we have to have a whole bunch of control logic that's telling this how to operate. So what we're doing right now is I'm actually working on, so here's control, and this is hooked up to actually my, this control logic is hooked up to my PC so I can program it, and the control logic then controls the voltage source, and that's how I'm glitching the system on chip. This is a very, very overhead explanation. There's a lot of circuitry involved in how this works, but that's kind of beyond the scope of what I'm going to talk about right now. What I'm working on right now is the control logic. And the way the control logic works is I have an FPGA, a field programmable gate array, which is what this board is. And this board actually can behave as though it's a circuit. a digital circuit specifically. So I can actually program logic in a language called Verilog, which is what this is, and the program that I wrote looks like this. And I can then take this, pump it through... Oh, you guys can't see that because of the... Here, I can go ahead and minimize this now. Sorry about that. Nope, that's wrong. Super professional. Okay. I know, Cyril. I beat you to it. You'll see. Don't forget that there's stream delay. I figured it out faster. There we go. So there's the Verilog. Anyway, what am I saying? Yeah, so this is the Verilog, and then Verilog is pumped into what's called a synthesizer, which looks like this. And my synthesizer is actually going to take it, convert my Verilog, which is a description of a circuit, into a circuit. It's okay, Cyril. I was just messing around. Anyway, this takes my description of a circuit and it turns it into a file that can actually program the board to behave as a circuit. So then over here I have the analog circuitry, which includes some level shifters and the voltage source, which I'm working with. And then I've got my 2DS, lovingly named Greg, which is what it's got a whole bunch of wiring attached here to give me access to the I2C board, to the I2C ports and the 1.2 volt line. And then I have my logic analyzer here, which I'm using for a testing solution, and that's what's been giving me grief. And so there's a chance we'll be stuck without this for the night, which sucks a lot. And I'd rather that not be the case, but if it is the case, then we are where we are, and it will be unfortunate, but it might be what it is. Anyway, yeah, so that's the general idea of what we're doing here. What we've accomplished in the last few streams is getting around some synthesis errors that were making it difficult to program the board. And then a lot of streams actually kind of got tanked because of the fact that my logic analyzer started encountering some issues when working with my laptop that I'm starting to believe are related to power consumption and a few other things that are going on. And I unfortunately can't really debug that extremely well because I just don't have the tools. Like, I have a multimeter, but a multimeter and an oscilloscope are totally different beasts, and unfortunately I don't have a good oscilloscope on me. The only oscilloscope I have is actually baked into my logic analyzer, and that doesn't work right now, so I can't use that to analyze why it's not working. So I have my logic analyzer, I've got my flash cable here. If it comes down to it, we may work on figuring out a workaround for getting the logic analyzer working again. It's a shame that that's broken right now, but I'm not going to let that tank the stream today. If we need to figure something out, we'll work it out. Anyway, though, the detailed explanation was requested by Ethan Hargis on Twitter. So hopefully that satisfies the urge for a general overview of what's happening. What I'm hoping to accomplish in this stream is I have implemented a debug port for spitting out data. And what I was originally hoping to do was plug in my logic analyzer and get values out from that. If that's not going to work, then I'll have to figure something else out. But we'll go through that together. Let me move my iPad over because it's now taking up a lot of space. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and get into synthesis. And after synthesis is done and we can program the board, I may have to get into some logic analyzer troubleshooting. Hopefully not, but we'll see how that goes. Anyway, go ahead and pull up my user guide. Let's see, there's that. Did I open up my I/O planning? No, I did not. Oh, and before I continue, just want to let you guys know I do have a link for tips. If you want to help me save up for new additions to the stream, stuff like a microscope so I don't have to use this webcam hack, which gives a not great view of stuff. I'd like to have a more bird's eye view instead of this kind of isographic view of it. Stuff like that. So if you're interested in helping me make the stream better over time, please consider giving a tip, or if you guys think you learned something from this. And I really want to emphasize that as I'm working on this, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to ask. The major piece of this stream is that I want people to learn something. So if you guys have a question, please ask at any point. Angel Killer points out that thank you for saying that I'm really good at explaining. I don't think I'm that good, but I do actually teach an analog electronics course while I am at university. So while I'm doing that, I generally like to I've learned some things about what people need to hear in order to learn best. So I like to try and follow that method, and hopefully people will learn something from it. So yeah, if you have any questions at any point, please don't hesitate to ask. That's what this stream is all about. Okay, anyway, I have my user guide over here, which you guys can't see much of, but that's fine because it's just a pin out, and you guys will see that in a second anyway. So let me go ahead and open our pin planning. I do actually. No, I don't. Yes, let's go ahead and open plan ahead. So plan ahead is the FPGA pin mapping. It's what's used for mapping out what's called constraints. So basically, if I bring up the FPGA over here, you guys can see that there's a whole bunch of pins, and the way that these pins work is that they're actually assignable over here. So this is the FPGA itself, and any signal can be driven from the FPGA to any of these pins by controlling logic inside of it. So what I'm doing now is I'm actually telling it what signals to route to which pins. And there's no easy way to do it, unfortunately, other than to go through and assign each one by hand, which kind of sucks. Where is it? I started plan ahead. Where did it go? Always something. Okay, let's see. Okay, I might actually have to run plan ahead from ISE for Windows and then reboot to something else. No, it started plan ahead. Okay. Okay, PN actually should be no, PN is part of ISE. I wish this setup weren't so busted, but it's pretty busted. Yes, I would like to continue with opening plan ahead. Preparing plan ahead launcher script. Okay, Xming. Trainboy asks, why not physically remove the system that's used to lock it out? And that's actually a really interesting question. I can try to briefly explain this, but it might be better for me to actually... Okay, where's plan ahead again? Yeah, it's... Okay, great. I'm just going to have to run the Windows instance of plan ahead, which that sucks, but I'll figure it out. So the trick is... Yeah, I know Cyril, but it's not the issue. The issue is I think that's not effectively communicating with the X server that I'm piping from Bash on Ubuntu on Windows. Like this has gotten to be a bit of a mess. Basically, what I'm doing is I'm running on Windows, but the Windows build of ISE and Plan Ahead and everything is awful. So I'm running this from... Instead of running this from the Windows build, I'm actually running it through Bash on Ubuntu on Windows, and then I'm running the programming Flash software, which is Impact. I am running this from Windows, but I'm running the 32-bit version because the 64-bit version crashes, and then I am taking this data and I'm actually pumping it down to my server, which I have on Remote Desktop Protocol over here so you can see it, and I'm taking that and I have my flashing cable, this, hooked up to my server, and then I am tunneling all of the programming file through the server to that. It's a lot, and it's not fun having to deal with all of this. Okay, So anyway, though, Train Boy asked, why don't we just remove what it is that's locking out the boot ROM? And the issue is that what's locking out the boot ROM is it's a write to a register that's actually in boot ROM. Like, the boot ROM is what locks itself out. So the thing is that at the end of boot ROM, before it initializes the I'm so glad somebody caught the Evangelion Moonbase joke. Thanks, Cyril. I'm sorry, Train Boy, I'm getting distracted. The thing is that the boot ROM actually locks itself, and we can't change it. So if we can't change the boot ROM, we can't get rid of its code for locking itself. And what locks it is an actual piece of the silicon, and you can't really just like open up the chip and carve out the register, because the register is basically a piece of like 9 transistors, and each of those transistors is like in the 3DS, I think the 3DS is a 45 nanometer process. So in the 3DS, those are 45 nanometers wide. So we'd have to basically get an ultra high power, ultra precise laser and burn out a very specific piece and then rebuild all of the connections around that. And that's not, at that point, it's not, there are other more practical ways to go about it. If you have that kind of technology, you can actually just read the boot ROM off of the chip itself, because that's where it's implemented. So as much as I would like to be able to do that, that's not, unfortunately, something that we can do. So we have to go around it like this. And Cyril, it's a complicated workflow, but it's the only thing that allows me to actually stream the iPad screen and get a webcam going and also program the board at the same time. And apparently now my logic analyzer doesn't even work with it, so debatably not even that useful. Anyway, let me go ahead and see if there's a plan ahead shortcut in here. Plan ahead, yeah, there is. Okay. The 64-bit won't work, so I need to actually go ahead and open this. And I'm running on a different drive, so I need to go ahead and do properties. And I need to launch it from, oh no, it is already attached to the D drive, actually. That's good. So if I do this, fingers crossed. Cool. Okay, plan ahead's loading up. Let's go ahead and open a project. Let's see where that is. So I've never actually opened up. Usually I launch plan ahead straight from the software, ISE. So I don't usually need to deal with going about it this way. But if I'm lucky, then it will figure it out and not force me to mess with some of the nastier stuff. Please. Please. Okay. Okay, let's see if this runs nicely. Summary, no, I don't need that. Constraints. Okay, let's go ahead and run this. I don't know how exactly. Maybe it would be better to launch. Actually, yeah, so I'm going to actually go ahead and launch the Windows version of ISE. I'm sorry, this is getting so complicated so fast. There we go. Let's go ahead and hop into ISE, 32-bit Project Navigator, and then this way I can actually get plan ahead to launch the way that I need it to. Much more complicated than I want this to be. Let's see. IO pin planning, plan ahead, pre-synthesis. I just realized I closed Twitch. Let me see if there are any other questions. Okay, so the thing, so Apache Thunder, that's also a good question. The issue with doing that, so Apache Thunder asks, why doesn't Nintendo just have boot ROM write to the register immediately instead of waiting before it starts NAND and other stuff? And the thing is, they actually basically do. They set the controller as soon as they can. The thing is that there's 2 pieces of the boot ROM, actually. There's the protected piece and the unprotected piece. And the unprotected piece is actually mirrored to RAM. That's how we get it, because it's all locked away. But as soon as the stuff that's in the protected boot ROM is no longer needed, because of the fact that that's not mirrored to memory, and so that stuff tries to, as soon as that's done, the lockout happens, and we can no longer read that. There's still pieces of the boot ROM operating, but those are operating out of a mirrored instance in the ARM9 RAM. So, as good as it would be to man, now my brain is totally farting. As nice as it would be to say that Nintendo messed this up, in a lot of ways they really didn't. Like, that's the thing, is they actually did this as well as they possibly could, given the system, honestly. Like, the act of having the boot ROM lock itself out is actually a really functional method of preventing us from getting it. Like, the 3DS has been out for years, and this is a really hard system to recreate. The thing is that they lock out as much as they can, as quickly as they can, and they run the rest out of RAM. But there's some parts that they don't want to mirror to RAM, or else it'll never get wiped down, and if they lock it out, then it can't execute itself anymore. So the boot ROM locks out what it can as soon as it can, and no sooner. One of the things is we're not actually at the point where we're executing this bug. We're doing this well before NAND and anything else loads. Like, if you look back at this diagram that I was showing you, one of the things is we're basically, if you can actually view the progress into the boot ROM as kind of a loading bar, actually. And so if you think about it, we're going through it. We're going through it once to get to ARM9 loader hacks, at which point, like, the boot process at pretty late, if you think of it as a loading bar, it's going, and ARM9 loader hacks happens, like, right at the very end here. So this is, like, and the thing is that the lockout happens closer to, like, here. So we're getting execution as early as we can right now, but once we're done setting up the exception vectors, we can actually try to get code execution right very, very early, like as soon as we see it beginning to execute. Like, that's actually one of... Oops, sorry about that. Didn't mean to hit my microphone. If you actually go back to my Twitter, let me see if I can actually pull this image up, because this is actually explanatory in a way. Where is it? Sorry about this, guys. I want to make this explanation a little clearer. So I just want to make sure that there's no information that isn't getting circulated correctly. Tweets. There it is. Okay, cool. And then I scroll down. This is going to be a little ways back, closer to the bottom of my Twitter, unfortunately. There we go. Okay, cool. So I'm going to pull up this image. So here it is. So I'm going to pull this up right here. So you can see this image, SoC power specs versus time. What I did is I actually took I used a resistor, and I took the voltage difference across it and just used Ohm's law to extract current. And one of the things is you can actually see how much current is being consumed by the processor versus time. So you can see where different things happen. So you can see this little bump in, so like, here is where it starts operating. And here is where the screen goes live. No, actually, sorry. This is something that I'm actually still not totally sure where it is, because there's this little bump here, and then actually here where the power decreases, right here, this is actually when the screen goes live. So activating the GPU actually causes it to take less power. But so you can actually see from the current where certain things are happening. We're going through this whole boot cycle once to the point where we can execute code here, and then we're jumping back and doing it again. And during this time that we do it again, we're hitting it very, very early. Like, in this image, we'd be almost as soon as that first spike happens. It's an MCU reboot instead of it's a reboot instead of a cold boot. So the current Spectrum looks a little bit different, but that image is also on my Twitter if you're interested in seeing that. And so that's the general idea of what's happening here and stuff like that. So does that make sense to everyone? I actually see that we're getting a few more folks here. Hi, everyone. Welcome aboard. I'm Hedgeberg. For those of you who don't know me, a lot of explanation happened at the beginning of the VOD. So if there's stuff that you want to see, you're going to want to go back and catch that for yourself when you can. Hey, welcome back, Valiant. So it's cool seeing some regulars and then some new people here. Where's my debugging bus? Oh, god damn it, ISE. Okay, it looks like ISE has not loaded the debugging bus that I implemented into this. Specifically Apache Thunder, because they are the one that asked the question, so I want to make sure that they got a good answer. If at any point there's something that doesn't make sense, please feel free to ask. What on earth? Oh, this is the wrong project entirely. That's fun. What do you mean is the, oh, the boot ROM. The boot ROM contains a few things that are really interesting, one of which is a set of encryption keys that we have not actually been able to get access to before. Sorry, giggling a little bit. So so SIGHACKS is one motivation. There's also a key in there, the BOSS key. There's a lot of stuff in there that we don't have access to, and it's stuff that we need to fully understand what the 3DS does. One of the things, for example, is that if you look at something like Citra has to make a lot of assumptions as to what we're doing, and that's one of the reasons that it doesn't work exactly right. Yeah. Slightly different, or have the specified directory created on open. Select. Sorry, I just need to quickly change the product directory here because it's confused. Windows and like. What do you mean it's not? It's missing. Oh, there it is. You're silly. Okay, cool. Yeah, sorry. ISE is a buggy piece of garbage. Why did Google just turn on? No. Sorry, my phone just decided I wanted to talk to it, and I very much did not. Okay. Yeah, exactly. There's a whole bunch of reasons. I mean, that's the thing about a boot ROM is when it's locked out, we don't know what's going on in there. There's all kinds of stuff that we can learn from getting access to it, and there's stuff that we suspect is going on there that we don't understand, and there's also stuff that we know that's going on in there that we can't get the exact details on. No, I really don't think those are. I really don't think those are equivalent. So, if Google thinks those are equivalent, then there's something that we need to discuss. And no, it doesn't respond off of just okay. That would be absurd. It must have heard something and thought I said Google as well. Like, even just saying those both on their own right now and it's not coming up. Okay. What do you mean there's more missing files? File. Oh, yeah, okay. I should expect that needs to rebuild itself. Design. Before we get into any of this... Did I already open Plan Ahead? I did already... No, not for this project. Parsing design file. Okay, please work nicely. I hope it opens okay. I mean, I'm not going to be the one making the public release. I'm going to release a lot of operation details, Ideally, I'd like to find something that people can use to release it themselves, because I do not want to get into copyright troubles. It is very illegal for someone to release non-GPL code. So yeah, I'm not going to release it, but I can document and detail it to the point where ideally somebody can release it themselves or dump it themselves. And then hopefully no release is ever necessary. We can write code that will go through and parse it all and take out any cool details that are needed. But other than that, there's basically, long story short, ideally I won't need to release anything except details. It's not RSA, it's specifically ASN1, but you all will see what I mean, ideally, once I'm done. Every model has the exact same boot ROM. There's actually some evidence that even dev units have the same boot ROM as commercial units, other than console-specific keys. There's no... Sorry, my partner is trying to get me to laugh. Maddie.
Sorry, I just want to do a deep lunge. In the hallway.
Okay. Yeah, no, there is... You're thinking of the OTP. The OTP, or it stands for one-time pad, is a region of factory-programmed memory inside of a system ROM that exists on chip. But that's what we actually dump for... Oh yeah, Kitlith actually explained it.
What else does OTP stand for, Will?
Get out of here.
You're shipping nerd, Will.
I hope you know you're not the first one to make this joke.
I was hoping not.
No, of course not.
I'll
Okay.
give you a smooch.
Thank you. I love you.
Love you too.
Okay. So,
Take a bath.
yeah, go for it. Okay. Anyway, though, I think I've done enough explanations that I can go ahead and hop back into getting this figured out. Wait, why didn't... Plan ahead didn't start. No available... Oh, come on. Of course, it's deciding to mess with me right now. Where it... Tools? Nope. Source. Project. There we go. Clean up project files. Sorry, it's very confused by a lot of things. No, don't create timing constants. Oh, the worst. No, Kitlith, we're not listening to ship happens. Oh, come on, errors. Where... Oh yeah, these are no longer necessary. That's why. Okay. Pin planning. Oh, come on. Are we really doing this right now? Okay, so ISC has decided that it no longer wants to do anything for me. Oh, come on. There... Okay, 1 second, guys. I'm sorry about this. ISC has already decided to be an asshole. Okay, plan ahead. Oh, there we go. That's why. Too many plan ahead run folders. So long as I have the constraints file, everything should be fine. There we go. Okay, now we have plan ahead. No, Kai, it's not a good stream. It has not been a good stream. Actually, there's been a lot of teaching going on. Any stream where I'm doing a lot of teaching is a good stream, regardless of what gets done, so long as people are learning. Okay, let's see. There we go. Okay, so debug port. Oh yeah, seriously, that's a really good link. Thank you. What's this? There's a scalar port that's being... Oh, those are inputs. Okay, yeah, so I need to restore those. So what you guys are looking at here is just the list of all ports, and so you can see ports that have already been mapped, and ports that either got unmapped or have not been mapped yet. So I need to go ahead and add ports to all of my I need to map all of my debug ports, which is a pain. Okay, I've already got the DAC level ports set, starting from 7 at pin 0. Okay, sure. So then debug port, I'm going to want to put this towards the bottom of the row. Let's see. While I do this, if there's any other questions, feel free to ask. One of the things is actually Alex10M and Kitlith are in chat, and they are both very, very smart people. So if you have any questions while I work on this, they might be good people to ask. So if you get an answer from them, it should basically be basically the same thing that I would say. If you need any more detail, though, then I can go ahead and take some time to explain. Okay, I put private at the bottom here. So then main needs to be, I'm doing clock below, so main needs to be AD22. If you're wondering if there's any reason why this is the way it is, it's sorry, brain's just not being nice right now to me. A lot of ADHD, so sorry if I get a lot of if I get fairly distracted. I have horrible ADHD, and even on meds I have a tendency to brain fart. Let's see. I'm going to implement a 2-pin gap, and then I'm going to go for these 8. So, starting from AB22 and working my way up. So pin 0 is going to be AB22. Pin 1 is going to be AD25. If you're wondering how I choose this, there's no science to this at all. It's just pins were chosen based off of how accessible they were when people were designing the board, and then we just had to deal without any of it being in a good order. Like, you can actually see where the pins are mapped here, and they're all on what's called the same bank, like the same cluster of pins, but none of them are terribly useful. Yeah, Apache, you've got the exact right idea. That is basically exactly right. I will get into that at another point. But yeah. So we have a program, and the exception vector is going to jump to that program and execute that program, and then from there we have ways of getting it out. We're actually going to be rebooting it again to make sure that everything operates nicely, because there's not, like, none of the GPIO is going to function very nicely without that setup going on. Okay, V21, V22, AC22, AD26, and AC26. And with that, I should be good to go on the debug bus. The nice thing about the way that I've built this is, now that I've mapped these pins, I can actually just arbitrarily, where is it? Chip interface. Yeah, the way that I've mapped these, I can actually just arbitrarily assign anything to these 8 pins, meaning I can get a really good idea of what's happening inside of things. No, there haven't been many attempts, Alex10M, unfortunately. The way things are going right now, more than anything, I'm just running into just awful, silly bugs. Okay, this is all set. My constraints file is all set, so I can kill this. Okay, exit plan ahead, and I can actually go ahead. Now that plan ahead's done, unless I add any more pins, I don't need to touch plan ahead for a while, because fortunately I'm not dealing with any timing constraints in the system, because it's not complex enough for it. Timing constraints are for when you're dealing with something really big, like a proper processor. Yeah, Apache Thunder, you've got the exact right idea. You seem pretty knowledgeable about this. Can I ask about your background? Because I haven't seen, like, I'm not the most knowledgeable individual when it comes to members of the scene. I'm bad at remembering names, so I feel like I've seen your name before, but I don't know what you've worked on. So yeah, if you want to just fill me in. Hey graphics, things were working nicely and then they broke again, and so I'm just going to see what I can do even if things are broken and just keep on going. Worst comes to worst, we'll get into debugging logic again. I'll just oh wait, Apache Thunder, weren't you the one who weren't you were you the one who dumped a whole bunch of details on the Switch, or that's where I remember it from. That makes sense, the TWL stuff. Yeah, I'm sorry for being confused about that. No, yeah, sorry, Fox. What I'm talking about is I'm actually implementing a pseudo-processor, so it doesn't quite follow standard processing conventions. So I've kind of implemented a processor of sorts, but it's not like a real processor. When I say a real processor, I'm talking about like implementing an ARM processor or something on the FPGA for debugging. So when I say a real processor, I'm talking about putting a like if I wanted to, I could implement I could actually write the hardware design for an ARM processor and implement it on my FPGA. And if I were to do that, that's what the timing constraint elements are for, is for going in and making sure that all of the different signals play nice together. Because if they don't, you'll run into horrible race conditions inside of your processor, and it's awful. I have actually implemented a real, quote, real processor, an implementation of x86 for one of my courses on an FPGA, and that was a freaking miserable project. Yeah, no, it was towards myself. Like the processor that I wrote has only like 3 operations in it. So oh, there's a whole bunch that we can there is a whole huge amount of stuff that we know about what's going on inside of an Angel Killer. One of the things is that actually Yellow's 8 after 33C3 went through and documented a whole bunch of the boot chain. So there's a lot that we can assume from that, and there's a whole lot of other stuff too. It's really not that bad. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just the way that I am, but logic really isn't that bad. And when you're writing a processor, actually, a proper processor would actually be much easier than what I'm doing. If you guys want, I can get into that another time, but I don't want to deal with that right now. Wow, I'm almost up to 30 viewers. How's everybody doing? Say hello when you show up. Let me know if anybody has any questions at any point. If there's anything that I already answered in the that would be in the VOD, then I will point you towards that. And you guys can catch that when you have a chance. I just don't want to be re-answering questions because we've already been going for an hour, which is crazy. Let's see. Okay, I have my pin planning. I should actually be good to just go ahead and implement top module. Cross fingers. I don't think, I mean, it was synthesizing before. Nothing that I added should break it. Oh boy, and there it goes. Index 8 is not in range of sig. What the heck am I doing? I am an idiot. Where did I index it at port 8? Yeah, okay. There's just not a need for that. 8 bits. Yeah, no, Bash for Windows is much better. I know a lot of people like to give Bash on Ubuntu on Windows a lot of hate. It's actually a surprisingly robust system, and I found that it works really well for a lot of things. Like, there's a lot of stuff they haven't implemented, but they're even starting to get to the point where proper hardware instructions actually work. All of my warnings. Don't worry about those, though. Those are actually not... those are all basically ignorable warnings. What? Where are we getting translate errors? Priv SDA out. Oh, okay, right. Where's my constraints file? Here we go. Sorry about that. I forgot to unmap a couple of pins, and that means that it gets really confused. Where's the SCL out? Here we go. These are no longer needed. Okay, cool. Save that, and we should be good to go. Ooh, okay. Continuing on. Coffee. So by the way, guys, now that there's a lot of people here, I just like to say, first of all, I really appreciate everybody tuning in, and I really, really love doing this. It's become a really, really fun thing for me. I love, talking to you guys, and I love talking to you guys and teaching you guys and having a chance to talk about this. So the thing is, though, I am actually going to not be able to stream for about the next week and a half because I'm moving back to Pittsburgh because I just got a job there, and so it's great, and it'll be a really fun job doing some really cool research. But the only issue is I'm going to be really busy getting set up there, and I'm not going to have internet at the apartment for a while, stuff like that. So I won't be streaming for probably about a week and a half which yeah, I mean, I may try to stream up to about Thursday, depending on how stuff goes. But after that, I'm going to have to put a hard stop for a little while on it. I'll let you guys know how things are going and when I can get back to it. But this may or may not be my last stream for about a week and a half. Yeah, it is Disney, actually. It's really neat. I'm going to be working on some really, really cool research. Actually, I can get you, let me pull up a picture of the kind of cool stuff that they're doing. So this is one of the, where is it? Let me see if I can find the actual, yeah, there's an IFL Science article, which links to the actual article so you guys can see it. Yeah, so these are the guys I'm going to be working under, so you guys can actually see it. I'm going to be doing, yeah, it's the wireless charging room. Yeah, oh, hey, Shiny Quagsire, welcome to the stream. How's it going? Yeah, no, it's, yeah, I mean, Disney, so the mission statement for Disney Research is they are doing exclusively stuff that can be used for any part of, or for any one of their subsidiaries. So, like, the science behind the charging room, actually, it's a really cool combination of standing wave resonators and typical matched inductances. So it's like a really, really cool, it's a really cool thing. And so that was like, I actually was on site, interviewing the day before they released that. No, Kai, actually, you can stand right next to it. You can stand right, that's the thing. That was the thing about it. It's not like a standing wave resonator where, like with a microwave, you'll boil. The thing is that because of the way the capacitors work, all of the electric field is stored in there, and as a result, because of the compression of the electric field, the entirety of behavior is in the magnetic field. So all power coupling is being done through the magnetic field without the electric field, and as a result of that transmission mode, it's actually safe until you turn up the power about 1,000 times. So it's actually really, really efficient and really safe. Yeah, Kitlith, that's Kitlith, that's actually so they miscite the article. They actually completely miscite the article. Like, I stood right next to it. The thing is that they're misciting the way magnetic propagation modes work. So they say that yeah, they're very confused about how things actually work. Um, yeah, IFL Science is not exactly the greatest article. I just wanted to get a link to some of the videos because that's in that article, but they're not a good. They're not a good source in general. Um, yeah. I mean, the magnetic field has to be so much drastically stronger than an electric field to actually cause damage to people. It's the electric field that actually would cause damage to the body. Okay, anyway, we're all set on this. I can do bitgen. We can program, and then we can see if Sele is going to play nice. And if it's not, then we're going to spend a few moments debugging, seeing if we can make it play nice. And if not, then I will either switch to just taking questions, or we will hang out while I go over RDP and try to get Sele working from there, because there's some USB 3 bus issues that are making it impossible to get it to detect the words. Until I can figure out how to get that working, I may not be able to get Sele to play nice. So we'll see. IGNMC rules. That was I was comparing the boot chain to a loading bar to try and explain the way things work in terms of why this exploit is being done the way it is. Okay, anyway, we're good to go ahead and program. Where is ISE? There we go. Assign new configuration file. PMIC sub, chip interface. Program. Do 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 do. Oh, there are some very clever people who've already gotten the boot ROM. I don't know if yeah, Derek actually showed up the other day here. There are some people who are known to have it. I don't know of anybody else other than me that's actively working on vector hacks. I'd believe it if there was somebody who was doing it and just wasn't doing it publicly. But as far as I know, I'm the only one right now. Okay. Yeah, so let's go ahead and see what we can do with logic. If it's going to give me issues again, like if we end up SOL, we end up SOL. Let's see. Fingers crossed. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and record an arbitrary buffer. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller so it's not as stressed. Let's see. It's working. Okay, we've got a little bit. I mean, Fox, a lot of this, like, I don't have the money for it either. Until I get my job, I'm kind of basically broke. I mean, the reason that I'm doing like all this HDL stuff is I'm basically there's a famous glitching board called the Chip Whisperer. I don't have the money for a Chip Whisperer, so I don't have the money for a Chip Whisperer, which is why I'm doing this. Like, I wish I could afford a Chip Whisperer, but can't. So I built all the hardware for it myself. So it doesn't necessarily need to be expensive, but it probably needs a lot of know-how to put it together. And Angel Killer, thank you. That's really sweet. Yeah, you can see a lot of stuff on if you guys are interested, actually, you can see a lot of stuff on the Chip Whisperer with Scanlime. Yeah, exactly. Fox has got it. That's how Scanlime does all of her glitching. She uses a Chip Whisperer and their automation SDK. Okay, let's go ahead and get to it. I need to go ahead and hook up the debugging bus. So I'm going to go ahead and take off my headphones and go ahead and plug in all of the logic ports, and we'll see what we can do. Be right back. Oh, and if my audio fails, I'm really sorry. There's a chance that audio might break while I'm not at the computer. It's a weird microphone grounding loop issue. Okay, let's see. There's a chance that while I'm hooking this up, I am going to get some details backwards. That's kind of to be expected. Hopefully it won't be much of an issue. Oh no, it's disconnecting and reconnecting again, isn't it? I'm actually going to go ahead and close Logic and disconnect the Sele again for now. It seems to me like it's an issue with having too many things connected at once. So the longer I leave it disconnected for, maybe the better behavior I can get out of it. Let's see. Level shifters. Oh, I forgot to turn on my light here. Let me do that for you guys. Okay, that should probably be a little bit better. Yeah, that should be a little bit nicer for you guys to see. Okay, I need actually another set of cables. Everybody's having a good time while I'm just sticking wires and things. Sorry for nothing a bit more entertaining at the moment. This is just where I am right now. 0, 1. Let's see, so I did these two, another two. So the debugging bus is going to start right here. 0, 1, 2, 3. Backwards. There we go. Okay, that should be hooked up for now. I think I'm forgetting something. What am I forgetting? Oh yeah, hooking up the I2C bus to the actual... No, wait, that's hooked up. Yeah, cool. Then I'm all set. Let's see how we do. Okay. No, of course you can't hear me over there, Normat. I was just talking to myself. I wasn't saying anything terribly helpful. The only thing was, yeah, the way my microphone works. The only way my microphone works is that. What am I saying? I don't remember. Whatever. Microphone doesn't. Oh right, it doesn't work well on in terms of directional audio. It's not. I have it as a cardioid map right now, and the way a cardioid map works is that anything that's not directly in front of the microphone is actually deliberately filtered out, which is how I'm reducing the come on, words. Oh yeah, I'm reducing the fan noise from the background. Anyway, Fox and who was the other one who asked? Oh, Pugbite. Yeah, Fox and Pugbite asked what my logic analyzer is, and it is a Sele Logic Pro 16. which I splurged a little bit on getting myself because it's a really useful it's a really useful tool. Having the higher bandwidth and everything is wonderful, and it would be especially good if it wasn't for the fact that I think something's wrong with my laptop and how it handles higher bandwidth communications. But I'm not totally sure. Maybe one day I'll know. Okay, let's all play nice right now. Cool. Okay, so channel 0 and channel 1 are mapped to... Where is it? Where's I... There it is. It's because it's the Xming logo. Let's see. No, that's the sub... Okay, Prevesti A and Prevesti L. So I can trigger off of one. So let's go ahead and clear... No. Let's clear this out. And we're going to actually trigger off of the rising edge here. We can start recording. And then I'm just gonna press me a little button. Nope, you didn't detect it. Are you out of battery? Correction, Greg appears to have run out of battery, so I need to actually plug him in. Yeah, I mean, Beagle Logic is one way to go, but I'm not a huge fan of trying to use non-devoted hardware as logic analyzers, because you have to deal with a whole bunch of sampling nonsense that, in my opinion, it's just not worth the time for. And you can make a half-decent logic analyzer from it, but you can make a half-decent logic analyzer from it, but not an excellent one. Come on, the cable's not reaching. Come on, please. There we go. I think I must have left him on and drained the battery. Where is it? Groping around back here without actually being able to see. Oh, God. 1 second, guys. Don't. Cool. Okay, that should do it. And please do not break anything. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and do it. Starting that, and... Oh, well, that's fun. So Greg is not turning on, guys. So, as if I needed more things to go wrong. Okay, so Greg is not turning on, which is bizarre. I don't know why. So I'm going to need to go ahead and unhook for a moment and figure out what exactly is happening here. Could be that I'm accidentally loading the I2C bus more than I should be, and that's confusing it. So anyway, though, I need a moment. Oh, shoot, that's why. That's not good. I hope that I didn't burn him out. Let's see. Yeah, okay. Seems like it's fine. I just had things hooked up badly. That's my bad. Let's see. Okay, one of these freaking... This is the worst thing about this, is the way I've got Greg hooked up, you can see these cables, like, it's going, let's see, it's going magwire to a pigtail to some pins, and the issue is that if I do that, it means that some of these pins become more resistive than they should be, and the result is that the connection becomes weak. And that's a huge pain in the ass. There we go. Let's see. Muy bueno. Okay. Man, I need to remove my sweater. It's getting way too hot here. Okay, let me go ahead and hook this all back up and see what I can do. One of the other things is I actually had one of the, I had the voltage levels wrong. There's a chance I blew out my ICs, and if I did, then it's not an issue. I have like another 14 of them. Just crossing fingers that hope it's not an issue. Be right back. Okay, sorry about that. Back. Okay, let's try give this one more shot. Yeah, open up logic. Sorry about the constant, opening and closing of logic. It's a little bit of a pain for me as well. Okay. We're all set. Oh. Oh, yeah, because it's charging. Duh. I need to actually trigger off of something else then. Oh, yeah, but he doesn't need to be charging right now then. So the issue with charging is that the PMIC is always active. So... Oh, come on. No. No. Shit. Okay. Sally decided to break again. Let's see if we can get a good dump off of this. Logic. Okay. Yeah, when I first joined the scene, some people were talking about the decap issue, and people were saying that there was no way this could be done, which, honestly, I don't blame them for. Simple fact is, this stuff is not easy, and the act of trusting some guy with the act of doing a decap was a huge mistake, as much as I hate to say it. How come nobody's decapped it before? Because decapping is really expensive. Like, I mean, I could do a decap. I could do a decap, but the issue is that I don't have access to my cleanroom facilities at the moment. When I go back to Pittsburgh, I will have access to Carnegie Mellon's cleanroom facilities again. I just need to schmooze my professor up, and he'll probably be okay with it so long as I pay for stuff. So if he wanted, I could do a decap, but if I'm going to do a decap, I should save it for the Switch and a Tegra X1 instead of decapping the 3DS at this point, because there's no benefit to having access to that information. Okay, let's go ahead and plug this in. Oh, decap is decapsulation, and what it means is you take an integrated circuit and you actually strip off its containing... you can take off its containing packaging, and then what you do with that is you actually use it to, you take the containing packaging and you use it to determine why you use it to figure out what's going on inside of stuff. Okay, this is fun. So, as it should be clear, nothing changed here at all. So something's not working. TM, TM, TM. Oh, you know what it is? It's because the fact that I have SDA and SCL backwards. Right? Let me go ahead and disconnect it again. I mean, yeah. You do acid off the, you do acid etch off the top of the, you do acid off the packaging. But after that, there's a lot more involved stuff, because nowadays you can't look at what's going on inside of it that well, except for the top few metal layers. Because going below the top few metal layers, everything is submicron, which means that an optical microscope doesn't even work anymore. You have to use an electron microscope, or sometimes even what's called an atomic force microscope, which is based off how the atomic force of repulsion affects the magnetic field of a biased needle. Yeah, nowadays there's actually as many as 12 metal layers, or potentially 18. It's sort of like a CAT scan. CAT scan works relatively differently. In AFM, it actually uses a vibrating needle. I can actually draw up a diagram at some point if somebody's interested in that. But AFM is not my specialty, although we are getting closer to my specialty at that point. I do a lot of process engineering and stuff like that. So, yeah, I love that kind of stuff. Oh, hey, smart person. Welcome to the stream. Okay, what am I doing? Right, I need to check to make sure that I actually don't have these pins backwards. Yeah, I do. Okay, easy fix. only everything else were such an easy fix. The other thing is the machine might have actually reached the point where it needs a reset, in which case, returning void, I am using a laptop, and even though it's a pretty decent laptop with pretty decent specs, it is still a laptop. I only have one monitor here, so I can't really stream from this very well. Let's see. What am I doing? Yeah, okay, cool. I'm going to go ahead and reflash the FPGA just to be safe. Okay, cool. We should be good to go. Let's go ahead and see what this is doing. So, plug it in. We actually don't need to trigger on anything because of the fact that right now the bug is mostly in how I2C devices are listened to, so I can just actually collect raw data and see what we're doing. Okay, cool. Let's figure this out. So, what's happening here? Yeah, okay, so it's accruing. It is accruing off by 1 errors slowly. Okay, and then it loses it. So why are we accruing off by 1 errors is the question. So you guys can't see it right now. The thing is that if I were to use no, it's not that they don't want to. It's that they're validly worried about getting in trouble. Like, you have to understand that there's a lot of pseudo legality about what we're doing. Yeah, no, they, what am I saying? They don't, a lot of times they don't want to because of the fact that there's some risk of getting in trouble and some risk of, having feds jump down their throats. And that's not something that they want, which is understandable. It can be stressful to deal with releasing this stuff publicly. And there's also valid concerns about piracy. My stance on piracy is that I don't personally endorse it, and I never want to release anything that could be used as a piracy tool. But the thing is that at this point, 3DS piracy is already as easy as it gets because of a certain application which shall not be named. So this is byte ready. So how are we accruing an off by 1 error is the question. I had to figure out where exactly this is happening. I don't know if I agree, Fox. The thing is that in a community, we have the ability to prevent piracy. Like, this is getting into scene ethics, but one of the things is that with Switch, I hope that things never become as piracy enabled as they are. And what it comes down to is developers who develop piracy tools need to not. People just need to stop doing that. And that's not going to happen, unfortunately. But in the end, piracy comes down to those people. Those are the people who cause it, and those are the people who are responsible for it. Oh, then, oh yeah. No, you can. There are ways around it. There are ways to do things legally. I mean, if you guys look at, yeah, that's really true, Normat. It really is. That is a really fair point. I mean, piracy in general is a big plague of console hacking scenes, to the point where for some consoles the only interest in hacking is piracy, and that's yeah, but the CDN architecture would have been fine if we had never cracked ARM9. They just didn't have the client-side security backbone needed. Okay, so what I'm seeing right now, let me go ahead and explain where we're at. Basically, what you guys are seeing right now, if you look at this, these are I2C commands, and you can actually see that with each I2C command, it gets farther and farther in. Previously, I had thought it was an off by 1 error, but now I'm seeing that it's not. I don't think this is deterministically off by 1. This looks like it might be miscapturing bits, and that's a big problem. Yeah, actually, that's worth asking about. How did the Shiny Quag? How did the other than some of the more obvious stuff, did you find anything neat in the HID probe that you'd want to talk about? If not, obviously don't. Yeah, Wii U is completely the Wii U is just a complete piracy. It's piracy all the way down, and it's sad. I would actually have loved to see better. I'd actually have loved to see a better discussion of piracy on the Wii U, and see the Wii U have become a better console scene for homebrew, but it was never going to happen, unfortunately. The Wii U was a disaster scene. It was always going to be that way. So anyway, I need to figure out why exactly this is the way that it is. And I don't have any initial suspicions, but what we can see is actually one of these. Which one is it? One of these is actually reporting the byte ready. Yeah, there we go. So the private bus is reported as ready here. So if you look at channel 6, you can actually see when it's announcing that it's ready, and that's what causes the state transition. Yeah, that is really neat, actually. How did you go about discovering that keyboard was supported? Was it just that it was looking for was it just that it was like, I'm not super familiar with HID actually. Was it just looking for HID specific information to keyboards and mice? Because I know that those have certain details that are specific to those devices. Anyway, though, you guys basically so what we're going to be doing now to troubleshoot this flag going high for one cycle means that it's actually wait, that's hilarious. It's that simple. Sorry, Shiny Quagsire just informed me that people just plugged in keyboards. I had no idea. That's actually, I mean, on one hand, that's actually possibly wonderful. Like maybe it's potential that there's the potential that maybe they'll open it to basic development support. That would be really neat. I mean, one of the things is Nintendo's consoles would be so much less hacked if they would just give people basic access for homebrew. Oh, right. I did see the video. Sorry, Shiny Quagsire. I was forgetting about that. Thank you for reminding me. Really cool stuff, though. So yeah, I need to report the I2C bit counter that's being used here, and I need to actually be outputting that. So I need to figure out why we're doing things the way that we are. So I can actually clear out state, and I can clear out priv ready, and I can go ahead and assign some new info to the debugging port. So let's go ahead and get to it. What is the... So I need to go into my I2C module. Here, we should go ahead and open up Sublime. Basically, what we're going to have to do now is... Oh, why... End module doesn't need a semicolon. What's going on with you? Why are you complaining at me? Oh, that's why. Duh. So this is going to be equal to... We're going to make a variable named priv depth count. And let me see how deep the counter actually is for private. So I2C listen. Where's my common library? So if we go ahead and hop into I2C listen, count is a 7-bit. I don't know why I made this a 7-bit register when I2C only needs 9 bits. So we only need to dump out. Let's see. We only need to dump out a little bit of information. So output. No, I don't need to do. So I need to go ahead and add. I'm gonna add a group for debugging signals. Output wire depth count. If we're just going 0 to 8, ideally, then we should only need to So if we're only going 0 to 8, then we only need 4 bits. Right? I'm not losing my mind? Yeah, we only need 4 bits. So I can go ahead and save this. Oh, wait, no, I need to also output it. I need to do depth count. So basically what I'm doing right now is assign depth count equals, and the variable that I was using to count my way through it was ever so cleverly named count, and it's going to be the lower 4 bits of count. Nope, 3 down to 0. Backwards. Basically what I'm doing is, in HDL, for those who aren't aware, Verilog and other HDLs, basically what you're doing is you're just naming connections, is the simple way to describe it. So as we work, thank you, honey. As we work, I'm basically just going to be, just remember that basically what I'm doing is, you can think of it as taking, oh, damn it. Basically what you can think of it as is just taking some circuits and adding new wires between them. It's not terribly complicated. And really, honestly, I think HDL is pretty intuitive with the exception of non-blocking assigns. So priv EOT, priv count, debug, main count debug. We're not actually even touching the main bus right now, so main count debug will be thrown out by the synthesizer. But priv count debug. This is going to be ports 5 down to 2. Yeah, ports 5 down to 2. So actually in the end it was fundamentally the same. Assign debug port. So I can actually go ahead and add priv ready back in, which is useful. And then the last one's is constant 0, just to avoid synthesizer warning. Strip at least one of the many out of the list. Okay, cool. We should be good to go ahead and synthesize again. Oh wait, nope, I need to actually declare the wire before I do. Debug signals, wire 3:0. Angel Killer, I'm actually working on this completely independently. This is completely my work. I'll give full details on it later. But yeah, this is wholly my work. So it's a little tricky because of the fact that it means that nobody it's hard. Like, on one hand, I can't have other people answer some of the questions, but on the other hand, it's nice because I a lot of times I prefer to work alone on things. I'm not a good person to work in projects with. My code gets messy. It's hard to work with. Stuff like that. Wire 3:0. Priv count debug. Okay, that should all be set. Let's go ahead and reload and synthesize. And if we're lucky, shit won't break. What I'm expecting to see is that on hardware some bits are going to skip, and sometimes it's not going to increment count. What? What do you mean count hasn't been declared? Oh, it's farther down. Sorry. This is one of the things is Verilog usually doesn't mind your order of declaring signals until you synthesize. Like if you, and it's specifically ISE. Like ISE claims that there are standards that there aren't a lot of the times. One of the things is that synthesizers can actually ignore port ordering and stuff like that. No, I am setting count to. I know it doesn't look like it, but that's because of the fact that so what's happening is initial. I've got initial begin here, and in initial, one of the things is that there's clear logic down here for yeah. See, count clear here, is it should be clearing out the count. We'll see what happens once we implement and figure it out, though. Yeah, it is. It is exactly, Normat. One of the, like, you got to remember, it's that's the thing about hardware is variables may be actually managed by submodules or child modules, so things might not always be where you expect them to be. I should actually kill logic to make things play a little bit nicer. Oh, and you can hear it chugging. You can really hear it chugging. I really should get another monitor and just be doing this entirely on my desktop. That would be the smart thing to do. Only thing is, Logic Analyzer doesn't play nicely with desktop right now, and I need to figure that out. Yeah. Well, this goes. Any questions? Is webcam still working? Yep. Cool. And iPad. No, the iPad stream has stopped. That's not a big deal, though. I might fix that later. We'll see. So I've been working on the concept of like getting through Bootrom in general. What the hell? It just decided that it needed me to go ahead and redo it. This is frustrating. Okay, I guess it had forgotten that I had updated I2C Listen. Is everything updated? Yeah. So, Angel Killer, the thing is that, so I've been working on this on my own for, probably about, 4 months, like, the glitching aspect of things specifically. But I've been working on the idea of Bootrom since I joined the scene, which was in possibly even May. Like, so the glitching, I was working on that before Derek presented it at 33C3. But I've been working on this for a really long time. Yeah, Kitlith went ahead and posted the how long command. Thanks for implementing that, by the way, Kitlith. I really appreciate it. Good jokes, fun memes all around. Yeah, I've been working on this for a really long time, and the issue is every time that I try to do something, something goes wrong. Originally I was just trying to do basic resistive glitching, but I ran out of patience for that, because the thing about resistive glitching is it involves getting pretty lucky and also just like dialing a resistor to get the right value, and then also using a low resistance transistor. And the thing is, I wanted to do this exclusively with stuff that I already had, because I don't really have the cash to buy a lot of fun hardware to work with. So, for example, it was hard for me to get access to really to a good, cheap, really low resistance transistor, which made resistive glitching a bit more difficult. Even switch resistive glitching, stuff like that. Basically, what am I saying? Yeah, no, I've tried this a few times, including different methods on glitching. It's been a long time. This has been a long time in the works, and every time that I try to get something done, something goes wrong. Like, at one point, I was making some really good progress, and then I burned out my old 2DS, which I had named Dicky. And rip Dicky, I accidentally took one of the I2C lines when I wasn't thinking, and the I2C line is held at 1.8 volts, and I accidentally connected it to my FPGA's 5-volt line while their grounds were tied together, meaning I had provided a 1.8 volt to 5 volt direct route, and I blew a fuse on there somewhere, and I could not figure out which one it was. Yeah, hashtag rip Dicky. And at that point, it was like I had to go ahead and get a new 2DS, and so Greg was born. I mean, Dicky, honestly, like if you see some of the pictures, he would like the back was open all the time. I had done a failed 7-wire hard mod on it initially, before I had figured out the trick to, a while ago I figured out the way to shield cables to actually get USB 3.0 hard mods working, but Greg was before that point, so, or no, Dicky was before that point, so like I had a failed hard mod on Dicky. I had a whole bunch of stuff that was just really broken, unfortunately, and it was sad. It was sad losing that. I was pretty stressed out about that because I thought, oh, I'm only like a couple of weeks. Nope, that's wrong. I was only a couple of weeks away from getting it done, and that was several months ago. So like whenever I think I'm getting close, something breaks, something goes wrong, or I discover that I need to do something else to make everything play nice, which is just how these projects go. And that's one of the reasons I don't want to give an estimation. I get kind of frustrated with people who ask for estimations or for release dates. Every time I try to estimate, my estimations are wrong. What was I doing? Oh right, programming it. Duh. No, that's why I was opening remote desktop by mistake. ISE, if you look down here, this is remote desktop's icon. This is ISE's icon. Not ISE's. This is Impact's icon specifically. Like, they look so similar, and I keep screwing that up. Okay, let's go ahead and program. With any luck, logic will play nicely once more. And things will be good. Yeah, Shiny Quagsire, exactly right. Like, hardware projects, something always goes wrong. It's one of those horrible things about hardware is that there's just, nowadays with modern electronics, so many things are interacting at once. It just, something's got to break. Shoot, what am I doing? Yeah, I still play a lot of Minecraft Smart Person. What was I? Oh, right, Logic. I was opening Logic now that I've programmed it. Man, I am not here right now. It might be time for me to go ahead and start thinking about wrapping up for the night. Didn't even get that much done. Let's see what we do, though. Okay. Plug it in. Doop. Okay. 1.8. No, actually, this should be 3.3 volts. All of those. Check. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and expand this to 0.2 seconds just so we get a bit more debugging information. And set channel 1 negative edge trigger. And I can go ahead and start recording. Cool. Let's see what we got. Ooh. Oh, man, that's terrible. Okay, it's pretty clear that nothing's getting done here. It's definitely missing some data that it shouldn't be. Yeah, no. I mean, I still have Dicky. I already lifted off several of his parts for fixing other stuff. Let's see. So channel 2 through 5. So 0, 1, or so, yeah. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Misses 1. 6, 7. Wait, so it shouldn't even be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so why is it even missing? So first of all, should it even be? Yeah, it should be incrementing off of the first one. Normat is allowed to say whatever he wants. Normat helped me to fund, and by help me to fund, I mean he actually got me Greg because of the fact that I was in a financial tight spot, and Normat was eager for Bootrom, and I really appreciate it. Okay, so the question becomes, why are we missing this count? What is happening that's keeping this state transition from happening correctly? Like, on this positive edge, it should have no problem translating. 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7. So then there it's an off by 1 error. So yeah, it just looks like it's randomly not catching the... So yeah, and you can see here it's also... So... Wait, why are you being declared as ready? That's not right. So you're getting a glitch. So this line's glitching, but why is this being declared as ready? Yeah, Fox, you can actually. It's a remote transfer, and it's slow as hell, from what I understand. Okay, why on earth? I mean, you can also see actually that it misses. No, it does successfully update here. So here you can see it clears correctly. Why doesn't it go through here? Okay, so the next step is going to be for us to actually output the information for when the I2C channel is detecting a state transition, but like it pretty clearly isn't, so the question is why. Okay, so right here, I guess maybe I should output the state as well, but then I have to expand the debugging bus. What are we doing here? So, if it's not clear, basically what's happening is this is the count. So like these, what's happening is these 4 buses, or these 4 lines right here, are actually the, Oop, please don't have disappeared. Okay, there we go. So these 4 lines are actually the count for the number of bits that have gone through, and with that you can see that usually it increments, and so when the counter is equal to 8 on the next edge, it should clear, and it should know that there's an I2C bus that's completed. So the thing is, though, I need to figure out why on this transition it's not updating, because this logic was pretty robust. So what is it missing here? Why is it missing it here? So it waits for the sample and transitions to sampling, and on sampling it should always increment. So the issue is that on that edge it's not getting into sampling. So state takes sampling if previous SCL is 1'B0 and SCL is 1'B1. Now why? Maybe SOP or EOT cod is happening? That doesn't sound right, though. These are never changing out of time. Yeah, Kitlith has the right idea. If we could control writes to firm specifically, so that we could mess with the signature, we'd be able to install sig hacks. It's just that we also don't have a way to install that stuff on 11.3 right now. Sig hacks plus that would lead to 11.3 being hackable. And actually, so long as that write method isn't patched, any future versions would also be hackable. So downgrades under SIG-hacks would definitely no longer be necessary, among other things. But first off, we do need a way to write, and we also, of course, need SIG-hacks, which this needs to be done. Okay. So let's think here. Can anybody think of why... There's... Actually, I should, if I implement some logic, maybe I can figure out why it's skipping this bit. Because here's the thing, is it seems like one of these happens in each packet. Like, it doesn't happen in this one, but it definitely happens here. Like, any situation where inside of the packet, it's clean for more than one bit. And I gotta wonder why. Because if it's not, if it never samples... Why am I looking at it like this? So the issue is that we need to figure out why exactly it's never getting into sampling. So I do need to actually output the, I still actually do need to output the state, but I mean, it's clear it's not getting to sampling. So outputting the state wouldn't actually help. The question is, what state is it going to? If it went to SOP or EOT caught, no, it wouldn't clear if it said end of transmission caught. So the only case where it should be clearing is either SOP caught. So it's either going to EOT caught, or it's going to sample, it's staying in sample wait. If SCL equals 1 prime B1, and previous SCL equals 1 prime B0. So if there's an edge, wait, so sampling only happens if, so only if there's an edge in the middle of, only if there's specifically a negative edge. No, a positive edge. No, the check in sampling isn't off by 1. No, so Normat, the trick is, yeah, but Normat, the trick is that when you're, IHC width is 8 plus 1, but the count is starting from 0. So you've got the right idea, and the other thing is that it's happening at the positive edge. So like the transition should be happening at this edge right here. So yeah, no, right idea, but I don't think that's not off by 1. And you can tell because it does clear correctly on this edge. It's just that it doesn't increment the counter here. Like if it had incremented the counter here, it would clear on this edge correctly. The question is why it isn't incrementing here. So what we need to figure out is what's causing it to... Oh wait, you guys can't even see that because of the camera. I'm so sorry. Not thinking here. There we go. This should be clearer. If you look at this, you can actually see that it's incrementing just fine until here. And if it had incremented here, it would have cleared on this edge, but instead it's not incrementing and it's clearing on this edge. So the counter is not always incrementing, and I got to figure out why. Ah, man. Okay, so if the counter isn't incrementing, I don't want to have to add an extra state or have to mess with increasing the size of the debugging bus, but I might need to. I mean, basically, what we're seeing is that it's not that amazing, but I really appreciate that, Angel Killer. Thanks so much. Whatever you missed will be uploaded to YouTube, so let me know if you need the link or anything. You can get me on Twitch chat or whatever, and I'll just let you know how to get it. If anything happens to the VOD, or if it's considered to be too silent, anything like that. But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in. Hope to see you around soon. I need to. So why wouldn't it be like this is pretty? It's pretty clearly not hitting. It's pretty clearly not doing EOT caught. If it were also, EOT caught would also send it to wait for SOP. And it's not waiting for SOP either. Although, if it's in wait for SOP, I should clear. But it'll clear on SOP caught anyway, and it wouldn't get out of there unless SOP caught. Let's see. Wait, what are you talking about, Normat? So first of all, you mean channel 6, and... No, it's, So, like, no, the count is 0, 1, 1, 1. So it's 7. So it's on... The count is 7, and then after this, the count goes to 8, and then when the count is 8, the next positive edge, it clears. Okay, how am I doing my logic for how it detects? So the thing is, I'm doing edge detection logic in here, and there's something wrong with my edge detection logic. So what I may want to do is port this out and do specifically a devoted edge detection loop. So if previous SCL is 0 and SCL equals 1, then state takes sampling. So it should definitely sample here. Like, on this edge, it should absolutely sample. I don't understand how it's missing that, unless it's not getting through the logic fast enough. But that doesn't make any sense at all. Like, this is not hard logic for it to be getting through. Yeah, okay, so I need to modify this, I think. The best way for me to take a path forward on this is going to be to do, the best way for me to move forward on this is going to be switching to having my edge detection inside of I2C wait, purely doing, being done outside of this loop, so that way I can just say SCL pause edge, SCL neg edge, SDA pause edge, SDA neg edge, and that'll be a cleaner way to do the logic, and then I can output all of that and figure that out. So it'll be an easier way to debug as well, and it'll be more correct logic anyway, instead of having all this nastiness in here. From there, then I can figure out what's going on with that. I'll be right back, guys. I need to go use the bathroom. Okay, I'm back. So, Normat, yeah, you've got the right question. Why is why is it not working? Like, I simulated this pretty aggressively, and I simulated this really aggressively, and the fact that it's not working is frustrating to say the least. Like, what I'm dealing with now is simulation mismatch, and the issue with simulation mismatch is it's really hard to debug. Simulation mismatch is a gigantic pain in the ass. What it means is probably that I'm using a non-blocking assign in here somewhere when I should be, but I don't know. Like, it's all non-blocking assigns, it looks like, so I don't know why it's... Oh, this is probably what it is that these are at the bottom. No, but these should update at the bottom. Okay, so here's what we're going to do real quick. We're actually going to go ahead and dive into the circuit representation in ISE. And we're going to see if there's anything blatant or obvious that's not connected that should be. It's potentially... that is potentially the issue. Actually, it's getting really late. I might actually be... Yeah, I'm actually out of time on my Adderall. No, unfortunately. No, it doesn't simulate more accurately because it's all the same kind of Verilog backend. Simulation mismatches, unfortunately, don't work like that. The thing about simulation mismatches is that everything will simulate the same way, but then your behavior on hardware and software doesn't match. And that is never fun. So, no, unfortunately, newer software would not simulate more accurately, as much as I wish that were the case. Okay, I'm actually thinking it's probably about time for me to wrap up. We've been going for about 2 hours now, and it's getting pretty late. I mean, I will... Nah, actually, I think I should keep going for a little bit. Just because I don't want to leave this until tomorrow. I shouldn't go too much farther, though. Yeah, so I need to go ahead and make new edge detection logic. So what I'm going to do is inside of here, I'm going to go ahead and do edge detection logic. And we're going to separate this. And so always at pause edge sysclock begin. And so ideally when this synthesizes, it will synthesize as a separate block now, and there won't be any weird logic wrapped around this. Oop. Sorry about that, guys. So I actually need to go ahead and make some registers. I mean, Fox, let me show you what I have for flux. Give me one sec. Where is it? Here we go. Yeah. Okay, sorry about that. No audio. Cool, no audio issues. Yeah. I personally would never find 10 millimeters of flux pen to be enough because I use this. Wait, actually, can you even see that? One moment. Let's see. Yeah, I use this. Like, you can see how big this is. I just take this with a Q-tip and brush it on. Like, I use a lot of flux, so I'm not personally a huge fan of flux pens. Yeah, yeah, I agree. I need a lot of flux personally. It's so useful. It makes connecting so much better. Yeah, if you just get a... It's also cheaper because then you don't have to deal with paying for a flux pen. Yeah, I fully agree, Quag. Is Quag okay, by the way? I hope that doesn't sound too rude. But yeah, I fully agree. Paste flux is going to give you a much better time. Yeah, but you can also get a big tub of flux that's not a pen for pretty cheap as well. Like this, my flux tub is like I don't know, it was like $5 maybe. So, yeah, no, you, you want as much flux as you can get. Once you start using it, you're not going to stop. It's so useful. Okay. Okay, so I need to do in this block I need to make 2 registers. Reg previous SDA previous SCL, and with previous SDA and previous SDL, always at pause edge sys clock, previous SDA takes... No, I need to do the edge detection first. Previous SDA, previous SCL, SCL pause edge, SCL neg edge, SDA pause edge. Actually, wait, SCL neg edge is never used. Is it? No, it's not. It's only SDA. SCL is only used on pause edge. Right? No, wait, let me see. Let me check I2C spec real quick, guys. Sorry about this. Let's see. So, yeah, SDA on its own controls pause edge and neg edge. So SDA is the only thing where pause edge and neg edge are used. Other than that, it's all SCL is only used on pause edge. So I just need to do SCL pause edge and then SDA neg edge, SDA pause edge. Where's my initial begin? This should actually come down below here. So this is going to be my initialization block. Okay, state takes bus and init wait. We have previous SDA equals 0, previous SCL equals 0. Pause edge equals 0. SDA pause edge equals 0. SDA neg edge equals 0. Okay. Let's see. We have if SDA double equals 1, and no, I need to actually nest some parentheses. I might be getting too tired to code. I should really wrap it up for the night. SDA double equals 1, and come on. Previous SDA double equals 0. Then SDA pause edge takes 1. No, I should actually, so begin. SDA pause edge takes 1. SDA neg edge takes 0. And nope, don't end module. That would really not be helpful. Else if SDA double equals 0 and previous SDA double equals 1. Too many parentheses? Yes. Because I forgot the and. Begin. Then SDA neg edge takes 1. SDA pos edge takes 0. Else begin. SDA neg edge takes 0. SDA pos edge takes 0. Yeah, probably Kitlith. Oh man, I should really go back and fix that. But then the thing is that this way it's blocking. Like, there's no chance for it to accidentally somehow set pos edge and neg edge to 1 at the same time. Like, only one of them is going to be 1 at once in this way. Oh, okay, yeah, stream delay. I mean, this works, I think. We'll see. We'll see once I simulate. If stuff stops working, then we know. If SCL double equals 1 and previous SCL double equals 0, SCL pos edge takes 1, else SCL I should if I'm going to stick to a format, I should stick to a format takes 0. And then at the bottom of this block, previous SCL needs to take SCL, and previous SDA needs to take SDA. I already have previous SCL and previous SDA declared in here somewhere. Where? There we go. I can strip those out. Initialization should be set. Now that I just need to go in and re-implement it all in here. Yeah, I can't be sure until I try it. I think I'm going to actually go ahead and wrap up for the day, guys. I'm quickly getting too tired to be thinking. So I'm going to go ahead and do a quick to-do after we go ahead and debrief for a little bit. Before we debrief, real quick, since I'm wrapping up, first off, just want to let everybody know I will be uploading this stream to YouTube. I actually didn't listen to music at all during this stream, which is surprising to me because usually I need that. I was in a weird place today. Helped a bit, though. Anyway, though, before we wrap up, I wanted to let everybody know, first of all, remind you I do have the tip link. If you send a tip, it'll be used to help improve the stream. First goal will ideally be getting a microscope for the stream so I can stop using this junky webcam hack that I've got going on. So yeah, there's a tip in the boxes down. There's a tip link in the boxes down below. If you guys learned something from this, or if you enjoy watching this, please consider giving me a tip. If not, though, no problem. So now let's go ahead and debrief. Here's what we got done today. We had access to the logic analyzer. We went ahead and enumerated the debugging bus. We went through and we started trying to figure out why this off by 1 error is occurring, and it turns out it's not even an off by 1 error. No, Alex 10M, don't worry. I'm also broke. Believe me, I understand. I cannot ever ask anybody to support me. Yeah, it is via PayPal. Let's see. What was I saying? Oh, that's a fun, that's a fun comment. Yeah, Kitlith, can I get a ban? Can I get a ban on JWin? They just came in, yeah, if we could get a ban on that, that would be much appreciated. Don't want any stream spam. Anyway, so yeah, we went through, we were trying to go ahead and figure out why we're getting our off by one error, and we found that the issue is that, in fact, the count isn't incremented. You're not modded? Let me fix that real quick. Sorry, guys, I'm interrupting myself a whole bunch. It's kind of how end of streams end up being. Yep, okay, Kitlith, you're modded now. So yeah, you should be good to go. So, oh, actually, Shiny Quagsire, no, sorry, it's Fox. So, Fox, I actually, if you're looking for a cheap one, the one that I'm using is a, where's the box? It's an X-Sola iron, and I've actually found it, like, I have a really wonderful, X-Sola rework station. Oh god, Shiny Quagsire mentioned the, mentioned using non-control irons, and, oh man, I had a really wonderful experience with trying to hard mod with a wall iron back when I started, because I was very tight financially because of the fact that I was getting I was in a situation where I wasn't being paid for time worked, and that was shit. A lot of people in Keiki heard me complaining about that. Anyway, I didn't have access to a good iron, so I was using a wall iron from Radio Shack, and I basically burned off several pads on my original new 3DS XL, and that was an experience. And I knew it was bad. I knew it was bad, and I hated doing it for every moment that I did it, but I did it anyway, and I feel so... I don't know, every moment that I interacted with that felt like sin. Okay, anyway, though, getting back to the recap. So, what was I saying? Yeah, getting back to the recap. So we found that the issue is somewhere in the state transition logic in my I2C module, and I need to actually go through and fix a whole bunch of this. It was a little bit slower than it could have been because of the fact that, I mean, I'm juggling a lot of different software on here just to try and make things play nice right now. Yeah, no, it's not good. Whatever's happening in here, but ideally I should be able to figure it out with some good debugging. Hopefully we can figure out whatever the simulation mismatch is, and that should be fine. So going forward for next time, I'm going to be re-implementing this block. Actually, so a lot of this might not even be streamed from now on, so just because of the fact that I'll be moving. So I may be away for a while, so I'll let you guys know what I get done, but if I do stream again before I start moving, I'm going to be re-implementing all of this to use the stuff that I set up here. So I've got a better edge detection setup, and ideally once I use that, it'll also be easier to debug. So I can then start spitting out this information over the debugging bus, and then from there I can start working towards getting all of that working. And then if that works, then ideally everything should work nicely on hardware, and we can get this figured out. So from there, that's where we're at. Thanks, Fox. I really appreciate it. Fox is tipping me. Shoutouts for Fox. Basically, that's the state of things. I'm going to go ahead and add this to my to-do. Where's my to-do is in PMIC sub. I should remember, but just to be safe. So this is all set. this is all already set, so to do is now re-implement I2C detection. Re-implement. Yeah, I set the minimum to 50 cents. Believe me, everything helps and I appreciate it. So re-implement I2C detection with edge detection logic. And continue onboard testing after simulation confirms function. Okay, ideally next time, if we're lucky, no, actually definitely don't do that. I appreciate it, but one of the things is that PayPal actually will begin to start pulling out per donation taxes, and the thing is that if they do that, with each time that they strip out taxes, if it's smaller increments, then they strip out more. So, no, don't worry about it, Fox. It's okay. Like, totally don't worry about it. So anyway, yeah, don't worry about it, Fox. It's fine. I appreciate the gesture and I appreciate the thought a lot. So don't worry about it. So, anyway, next time I stream, hopefully it'll actually be from my desktop, which ideally over time I should be improving, but it's got a discrete graphics card. It's got a liquid-cooled i5 2500K. So it's got 32 gigabytes of RAM. So like, it's actually less powerful theoretically than my laptop, but overall it may play nicer. So anyway, there's our to-do. So that should be everything. Anybody think there's anything I'm forgetting? Any last minute questions before I go ahead and sign off? I'll go ahead and wait for that. But yeah, if there's any of that, feel free to ask. I can go ahead and get the iPad up and running again. Answer some questions before I go. Any questions? Bueller. Oh, okay, so Fox. The general idea is actually not terribly complicated. When you have an understanding of how CMOS logic works, the rest of it is actually pretty intuitive. The big thing about CMOS logic is, like, the easiest thing is to figure out how an inverter works, and I described this in one of the previous streams. The VOD may or may not still be up. Yeah. No, Alex, don't tip me. I know where you are right now. Don't worry about that. One day when things are better, maybe we'll discuss. Not right now. Anyway, though, Fox asked how I learned about most of the glitching. One of the things about glitching is that it's really heavily reliant on how silicon physics works. If you understand the fundamental levels of how CMOS logic is done, you can basically just interpret the rest. So if you like, the easiest way is if you look at how a CMOS inverter works. I don't want to get into drawing this diagram because it's a little complicated at the moment, but yeah. If you understand how CMOS logic works, something like an inverter, you can actually really easily think of how dropping the line level for an inverter could actually flip a bit, and from there, the rest of it is just understanding that every piece of logic in an in a processor or something like that is in effect a CMOS gate. And when you understand that everything is a CMOS gate and every CMOS gate follows certain behaviors and certain voltage curves, dipping the voltage at the input can cause some stuff to flip, and it's pretty intuitive from there. The other thing is when you're like I'm a classically trained engineer. When you go through normal training, there's one thing that they talk about in digital logic classes, which is called metastability. And metastability is the idea of causing what's called a hold time violation in a flip-flop or some other thing like that will cause your circuit to misbehave. And the thing about metastability is that you can cause all kinds of things to happen. So like with a flip-flop, if you violate the hold time violation, or if you violate the hold time expectation, you will actually cause the internals of the flip-flop to either you can actually cause them to go to a steady analog voltage between your VCC and your ground, meaning that all of a sudden it'll be frozen at an analog level and won't switch back to anything, or it can actually start to oscillate because there is in fact feedback inside of a flip-flop. So stuff like that with metastability, where if you violate those expected parameters, you can actually corrupt things. Once you understand the ways that digital gates are built on analog backbones, the rest of it all kind of just starts to fall into place. So, like at one point somebody mentioned the idea of glitching, and I was like when I first joined, I not even Keiki, I think it was 3DS Dev, and when I first joined, somebody was talking about how, the only thing that hasn't been tried for boot ROM is glitching. And I was like, what's glitching? And they were like, deliberately corrupting the processing environment. And from there it was just, okay, so like this. Because once you understand that, it's not hard to understand how it's caused. A good primer on different kinds of on one kind of glitching is Markin's talk on the Wii U. I don't remember which C3 that was, but it's a good video. He does reset line glitching, and that's a really good example of metastability because it's digital glitching. He actually executes a hold time violation on the reset line, and that causes, when he says that the processor is drunk, he's actually caused, because there are millions of flip-flops inside of a processor, and if you cause just a few of them to go metastable, they're going to cause all kinds of weird shit to happen. So when you understand the way that things work in that sense, the rest of it all just kind of comes together naturally. It's just kind of over time, as you learn more and more about how analog circuitry and digital circuitry play together, it's a really natural thing. I mean, one of the things is I've done a lot of IC design, and with IC design, nothing is really actually digital. It is all fundamentally analog. And when everything's fundamentally analog, there are certain things that happen. I hope that answers the question, Fox. Let me know if it doesn't. If you want, I can actually, at some point, I can actually try to go through with you one-on-one and explain some of the finer points of how this stuff works, if that would be helpful. Or I could do a bigger stream on it. Yeah. If you can, CPU architecture is a really good place to start. If you're doing it in Verilog, that will give you an idea of how all the different pieces of a CPU play together, and it won't give you an idea of the analog aspects because of the fact that you won't be doing gate design, but it will give you a good idea of what's happening inside of a CPU and how corrupting one block can mess with a lot of other stuff. If you want, because it's hard, it's not easy to get an analog education, especially even at electrical engineering schools. With my undergrad, even though I was analog focused out of a class of 400 people, there were 5 of us doing analog stuff. The rest of it was all comp arc or other stuff like that. I mean, yeah, even if you're doing it I mean, TTL is one thing, but you're still going to be dealing with the same idea because TTL is still something that you're synthesizing in the end. You're not going to be doing the full design by hand. You're going to be synthesizing it, and your synthesizer will figure out how it's done for you. Yeah. But whatever you do in the end, it changes the way that your timing behaves and how you have to analyze it. But in the end, it's all the same concept of when you do digital design, it's all synthesized for you. It's really hard to, like, even until you start getting into like graduate studies, it's really not easy to learn the way of how analog and digital circuits interact. A lot of times we actually call that something like mixed signal engineering, which is talking about different ways to turn analog into digital and stuff like that. Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. If you set up an initial condition and stuff like that, and then you execute a deliberate glitch inside of it, you can see how it corrupts stuff. That's a good point. Even if something, yeah. Oh, okay, Fox, you're going to be building you're going to need a lot of breadboards. I would not go about doing it outside of an FPGA. You can get all the same basic concepts of design if you do it inside of an FPGA. And you can get some pretty cheap FPGAs like an Ice Storm or something. And for like an old 32-bit CPU, that would be fine. It doesn't need to be your major. I mean, that's the thing, is you can learn all of this stuff on your own. I mean, even in the scene, there are people who haven't even started undergrad who have a wonderful understanding of this stuff. Like, stuff that it took me my senior year of I didn't understand until my senior year of undergrad. There are people who understood this stuff out of high school. Like, so long as you know the best way for you to learn, you can learn it all on your own. Yeah, if you ever want to talk about that, I'd be happy to. I'd be happy to go ahead and walk you through it another time. But I really should be wrapping up now and getting to sleep. Any other questions before I go ahead and sign off, guys? And Fox, next time I'm on Discord or IRC, just feel free to grab me and we can talk. Honestly, the best way to learn is to do. Because with the resources that are out there nowadays, it's so hard to... It's so hard to learn because of the fact that resources aren't coalesced together on their own outside of a course. Like in a university, there's a professor there to take the materials that are available and put them together for you. But when you're studying on your own, none of that's available. And so, the resources are available, but there's no one to put it together for you. And so the thing about a classroom setting is it's all been put together in a way that makes it easy for you to learn. But when you're in your own environment and you're doing this on your own, the only way to really learn what materials you need is to just run headfirst into a wall. And that's really the only way to actually understand what's happening and what you need to know, unfortunately. Or possibly fortunately. So in my opinion, the best way to learn is bite off far more than you can chew. And then ask people how you would go about it. And if you're confident that you can figure it out, you will have a hell of a learning experience. For example, if you don't have any electronics experience and you decide, I'm going to build a processor, you are going to be in way over your head. But as you investigate what's involved in doing it, you'll start to learn the little pieces. And even if in the end you decide that the project is too big for you to accomplish, you'll have learned something from that. And that's a lot. And that's what learning is taking those little pieces of information that you can grab onto and incorporate and making them into something. And so, I mean, if you ever want to try and find a project for yourself and just bite off far more than you can chew and know that and still go for it, I will always be willing to answer your questions and help you along the way. Because that's anybody who's trying to teach themselves deserves all of the support that they can get. So if that's something that you want to do, and you want to try a stupid, absurd project, feel free to ask me any questions, and I'll be happy to help. Yeah, I hope that answers your question, Kamikaze. I wish I could say, oh, all you need to do is go and look at these open courses online, and everything will be great, and you can just follow this path. Unfortunately, the system's just really not that organized like that. Electronics is so much less streamlined than programming, and so it's hard. It can be really hard to deal with sometimes. But yeah, if you ever have any questions, I'm here to support you, and there are other people in communities like this who know what it's like to be going through this process, and they will always be down to support you. So, yeah. I hope that answers the question. If there are any other questions, go ahead and let me know real quick. Going once. Going twice. Going thrice. Okay. I'm closing up the questions box then, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. I really appreciate it. I will hopefully be streaming again as soon as I can. There's a good chance it'll be a while, though. I really appreciate everybody tuning in, and I hope you're all having a good time working with this stuff. And I mean, what I said about learning stuff, I'm still learning stuff. I'm always learning stuff when I'm doing this. So go bite something off. Whatever you guys, if you guys ever have any questions, feel free to grab me on Twitter. Even if I can't stream, I'm always available. I'll try to be available as often as possible on IRC. I'm hedgeberg on Keiki. I have ZNC set up, so usually I can actually go ahead and get a buffer if I'm there. Or you can hit me up on the Reswitch Discord or on my Twitter. Yeah, I've been thinking about a podcast. One day, maybe. We'll see. I've got the hardware for it. It's an idea, a pipe dream, maybe. Anyway, though, guys, thank you so much for tuning into the stream. I hope to be back soon. But if I'm not, I'll make sure to try and keep everybody updated on what's going on. If I do get to stream tomorrow, then that'll probably be the last time I get to stream at best for the next couple weeks. So I'll let you guys know, and hopefully I'll hear from you soon. Have a good one, and I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.